One of the most frustrating things about owning a car in the UK is the way that car insurance is done. Especially for someone that's just started driving or just passed the driving test. You need a fortune at a stupidly young age where it's not necessarily even possible to have that amount of money yet, just to own the car and just to drive it. Some 17-year-olds that are passing the test now are having to fork out upwards of £2,000 just to insure the car on a yearly basis. Someone's 17 and they're still at school. How are they expected as a baseline to be able to afford £2,000? If you then go in and take that cost, so let's say a kid has to buy a car either to study for the degree, maybe they're staying at home, or they're getting a job. So they will need a car because they have to travel there. And you're slapping a £2,000 price tag, separate from fuel, separate from the car itself, just on an arbitrary figure in case they crash into somebody else. You're setting £2,000 just to have that opportunity. If the kid doesn't have it, you're expecting the parents to. If a kid's getting a car bought for them, then fair enough, that kind of wealth is there. But not all cars are expensive. You can get second-hand cars that are going to be driven around for less than £1,000. And even then, that stretch to gather that money is difficult. And then you slap an insurance premium on it for 1 year, which is worth more than the entirety of the car. That's not fair. In that scenario, you are blocking opportunities for that kid. Meanwhile, Janet, who's had 3 crashes in the past year, who's 54 and been driving for 30 years, is a danger to everybody on the roads, but is paying £300 a year, and each time she crashes, her premium's not affected. How's that fair? It does just make you think as well, because there is just this assumption that as soon as you pass your driving test, you don't have the competency to drive a car so that you won't crash. Not every kid is like that. That will be a minority, yet the minority spoil it for the rest. But why is the assumption made that you are going to crash it within the first few years, therefore you have to pay a higher premium? Why is that the case? There is nothing stopping them upping the price just based upon age, based upon arbitrary statistics that support whatever argument or premium increase that they want to justify, they will do, unless discouraged. Because they did this with the difference in genders a couple of years ago. It wasn't until the government got involved that they used to charge males higher than females of the exact same quotation for the exact same details. If you just change the gender, you'd pay different. How is that fair? And when the government are already involved in the fact of issuing licenses, surely the government should get involved in the issuing of the fairness of issuing out insurance too. And because you have to go through the process of passing a driving test, why aren't the test results then considered for the insurance premium? Because then surely that is a filtration mechanism out of the competent and the less so once they get the test. That's an opportunity at 17. Because what are the options if you don't have that money at 17? If you don't have someone there that can pay that for you, but you need a car, what happens? You get put in debt right even before you've got a job, or just as you start a job. How is that fair? They're not allowed even out of full-time education until 18, until a year later, yet they have to pay this ridiculous premium now, or with interest on it. And yeah, you can put down in the comments it's because I've just had to pay my insurance. Although mine's not been as ridiculous. It was ridiculous in its first year, and it's come down now, but that's taken 3 years for that to happen. And in that time, I've still had to pay upwards of, way higher than something Janet, 50 years old, would have to pay. Yeah, there's a reason I don't work in insurance. Make up your own mind. If you've got an opposing argument that makes sense, drop it in the comments below.